Alright, good evening everybody. Sorry that we're a couple of minutes late starting today. Sincerely sorry about that. Please let me know if you can hear me clearly and just let me know in the chats where you're joining us from. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Please let me know in the chats where you're joining us from. Thank you very much. Let me know if you can hear me clearly and in the chats where you are joining us from. Thank you. Welcome to today's masterclass. All right, welcome, everybody. It's a good day, and we're glad to have you here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. It's going to be a great experience tonight, and quick one too. Let's talk about focus. All right, so welcome to class today. This is the Focus Masterclass. I'm very excited that you are here. So this masterclass is a 2-day webinar masterclass type thing, and I'm doing my best to ensure that you maximize all that God has in store for you in this masterclass, basically, and learn the experience fully. So it's gonna hold today and tomorrow. And once again, I'm very sorry that we started late today. Tomorrow we'll do our best to ensure that we start in time. Please indicate in the chat if you can hear me clearly. Indicate if you can hear me clearly. So let's begin with a conversation of what is focus. What is focus? So focus has different definitions from the dictionary, and the first one is the state of having or producing clear visual definition. The state of having or producing clear visual definition. That's one of the definitions of focus. The second definition of focus is the center of interest or activity. The center of interest or activity. So, whatever it is that you're interested in that is sustaining your attention for a long amount of time, it's something that you're focused on. So, for example, you could be focused on let's say a video game. All your attention is there. In fact, it buttresses our third definition, directed attention. Many times we direct our attention to something specific. For example, because YouTube doesn't allow you to do something else while watching it. Um, some of you have your attention focused on this masterclass. However, if this teaching was a Telegram voice chat or uh, a WhatsApp teaching, you could be chatting with somebody else and also listening at the same time. So you would have what we call divided attention, and then you would not be able to follow through what we are talking about, what we're discussing, and who we're becoming in the journey. Number four, careful attention that is given to something, such as a task or the ability to give your full attention to something. And it's just like the example that I gave you earlier, and I was saying that you don't have a short attention span. What you have is the inability to sustain focus for an elongated period of time. So that even if you're bored, even if you are distracted, even if you're involved in another task or in another chore, you will begin to realize that, number one, for example, that it has your full attention, it has your full focus. And finally, if you focus your eyes, or if your eyes focus, you try to look directly at an object so you can see more clearly. And then the Bible buttresses this definition and says that if your eye is single, you will not lack light. If your eye is single, you will not lack direction. If your eyes is single, you will not lack the ability to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And so, in the journey of focus, the intention is that your gaze is fixed. The intention in the journey of focus is that your heart is not wavering and your gaze is fully fixed on that which you're trying to achieve. And so, we cannot claim focus if we are easily distracted by the things that are happening around us. Now, you must know that distraction is a norm. Distraction will come, distraction will happen. But the question is, will you permit the distraction to have its way? Or will you allow yourself to not be distracted in spite of what you see, what you hear, or what you feel? Now, what biases are you permitting in your personal space that will hinder your becoming? And so I want to break down to you the anatomy of focus. And this is so powerful, especially if you really want to understand how to sustain your focus. Remember, I said that nobody has a short span, but we have difficulty understanding what we are doing and how that it is very important that we sustain the energy in what we are doing so that we can see our desired results. And so the first one is break down attention. What are the things that command your attention? What are the things that command your time? What are the things that command your time? What are the things that command your attention? What are the things that take your time? So if you pay attention to your time, for example, break it down for 24 hours. Break down your time for 24 hours and then begin to ask yourself, okay, what are the things that are taking my time? What are the things that I spend the bulk of my time on? I believe our phones has this thing that it tells you how long you spent on your phone, where you can now not just um use your head to try to remember, but you can look at your phone and see how long am I spending on this phone, and what productivity is it bringing to me. And maybe a masterclass that I'll think about doing if I have the time is a productivity masterclass so that you can actually understand what it means to be productive. Because most people think that putting out content or doing things that you're meant to do when you're meant to do is a direct indication of productivity, but not so, because it's not always that producing things means productivity, because we now need to begin to rate even the quality of what you're producing. And so we need to break down attention. What is consuming your time? Can you tell me what an average 24 hours looks like for you consistently? Can you tell me what you're doing every 24 hours? Can you? articulate it without being biased or without being distracted, right? And then the second one is a self-awareness. And some you may wonder, why is self-awareness not before breaking down attention? It's because your result of your breaking down of attention will bring to you a self-awareness. So whatever results that you begin to see, oh, I spend 8 hours on my phone daily, that will bring an awareness to you of, oh, am I spending too much time on my phone or too little time on my phone? Am i spending am i spending too much time on something or too little time on it? Now that's where you now begin to come into that place of awareness where you know, okay, this is what is not working. I've consistently done this like this, and maybe that's why I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. And then the third is the other people factor. Remember that you're not the only person living in the world. So, for example, if you have a boss, your boss plays a your boss plays a high role in your possibilities. Your boss plays a high role in your outcome. Your boss plays a major role in who you are becoming. So if you're answerable to someone, you realize that for the stipulated time that they are paying for your service, or you volunteer your services, your time belongs to that person. And so you can't start scheduling things around the time that somebody is paying you to work, right? So, in the same vein, we must understand that in understanding focus, in really, really being particular about focus, we must pay attention to other people, other people's time, other people's money, other people's feelings. But then our lives must not be centered around these three. We must also lead to learn the no factor. And so that means that there are certain opportunities that will present themselves to you, and you can look at them and say no to them, not because they are not good opportunities, but because you can tell that these opportunities will limit your possibilities, will limit your outcome, and will limit your becoming. And then number four is you look at the big picture. You look at the big picture. For example, you can say, saying yes to this. How does saying yes to this impact what I'm trying to build? How does saying yes to this impact who I'm trying to become? How does saying yes to this change my possibilities and change my outcomes or change my journey, right? So you must now begin to look at the big picture. Look at how does this thing affect the grand scheme of my life? Because if we live our life in years per time and in months per view, then we would lose sight of the destination of our lives. What do I mean by that? If all I have in my life is my plan for next month, my plan for next week, my plan for the year, without ever sitting down to look at who I'm seeking to become, I will never pursue a bigger picture than what my current possibility presents to me. So, as I'm preparing my 1 year plan, one of the things I would do is to develop a 5 year plan, so that if I'm having a plan for 1 year, that I'm going to be working a job for 1 year, in 5 years, what am I going to be doing? Will I still be at that job? So that before you take an employment, you won't think about just feeding yourself in the moment, but you think about how it influences your life in the future, how it impacts your life in the future. I believe it was TD Jakes who said that people who will change the world think in decades. They don't think in years, they think in decades. So my actions, my decisions now, how does it affect me in the next decade? What am I harnessing from what I'm building now that will enculturate my next decade? And so I don't just stand up and jump into a relationship today with somebody. I'm thinking, in the next decade, would this person still be a part of my life? In the next decade, will I still be a part of this vision? So I'm not just jumping onto the vision because I'm vibing with it now. I put the vision in line with my next decade. Okay, so I'm thinking, in the next decade, will I be able to sustain the same momentum that I used to serve this vision from the beginning, or will I lose momentum? If God is giving you a business, if God is asking you to start something, you must begin to look at the big picture. How will changes in my life affect this vision? For example, if you're single now, in the next 10 years, you may most likely be married. How will my marriage affect the vision? And you may also have children. How will my having children affect the vision? That's when we begin to think like futurists, when we begin to not just prophetically discern by the wisdom of God the patterns and the trends of the future, but we begin to harness our life possibilities that will birth possibilities and birth wisdom for us to decide how to act and how to follow. And so I must really pay attention to the big picture, because the big picture shows me everything that I need to know. So, for example, a lady who is expecting to marry in the next 10 years also has to picture a possibility of a broken engagement, or picture a possibility of, if this courtship does not work out. Not that you're being pessimistic, but in creating plans, when you first get the vision is exciting. The vision is cutthroat, right? The vision is like, you just want to stand up and get to work. But real planning will think about losses. Real planning will think about deficits. Real planning will think about disappointments. Real planning will begin to picture, what if my 5-year plan flops? What if I'm expecting 100 clients and I only get 2 clients? Real planning begins to put that into big picture. What if I fail? Right? So that's also part of your decade thinking, is what if I fail? Failure is not a bad thing if we understand what it means to fail forward. Right? Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is not something to be heartbroken about. I failed at this. Good. So how can I get better at this? I failed at this. Okay, great. So how can I readjust to become better at this? Do you understand now the big picture? And then finally, context. Now, when you begin to think the big picture, it's not just um, living in la la land. I'll be married, I'll have 4 children, a dog, and a house. You need to think context. So look at the patterns. For example, in the last 10 years, what has been the financial pattern in your country for the last 10 years? What are the possibilities that has been seen in your country? If you're like me and you're a Nigerian, last year by this time, dollar was 500 and something, and right now dollar is almost 700. That's an unpredictable pattern that you cannot graph it anywhere. You can't plot it in a graph and picture it, because nobody saw the pandemic coming. Nobody saw the aftermath of the pandemic. We all built our 10-year plans based on a steady growth that we have seen from 2010 to 2019. And so many people began to pattern their lives after that. But there were some people that paid attention to DeFi's and Binance and DeFi's and Binance and cryptos and all of that. They began to pay attention to those. Those were the guys that cashed out. Now that a lot of people have entered into the crypto market, the market is now saturated. So we're seeing more losses than we're seeing gains, because many people entered into it when people had already positioned themselves to take the lion's share of the market. So we must begin to pay attention to patterns. Okay, what are the trends that are going to begin to occur in the next 10 years? How is the world changing? What are the expectations of the world right now, and how is it being evolved consistently? For example, TikTok is now there. Nobody thought about TikTok in 2015 or 2014. But TikTok is now a possibility in our world. Um, I mean, that the ownership of Twitter would change hands to Elon Musk was not a possibility that our world thought about. So we must begin to think in terms of patterns. What are trends of radical change in the world, and how can I begin to uh, um, align myself to it, right? And then we need to begin to think in systems. System thinking is one of the most powerful things that anybody can participate in, because systems permit you to think holistically. Systems permit you to see the big picture. System permits you to ask questions in places instead of just accepting excuses or accepting things just as they are. Don't just say that's how we do it. That's not how we do it. Why do we do it that way? What bettered us thinking that way? What questions brought us to thinking that way? And also, finally, in terms of context, we need to think of our messes. Like I said earlier, we need to remove our heads from this cloud of a perfect existence, this cloud of everything perfect, everything 100%, everything nice, everything. No, we need to come out of that cloud and now begin to see, okay, what are the failures to anticipate? What are the disappointments to anticipate? If you're working with people, and remember, I put in the other people factor in the middle of the teaching, and I said something. I said, you have to consider other people's time, other people's money, other people's value. You must now begin to see, okay, so what if my investors pull out? What if people are not thinking the way I'm thinking? What if people are not considering the way I'm considering? What if people are not seeing what I'm seeing? What if people's picture of my success is different from my definition of success? So you need to begin to consider other people in your journey. Um, and then another thing that I really want us to understand in this journey of focus is the types of focus. It's very, very important that we know the different types of focus. Now, there's personal focus where I'm focused on my personal life, my goals, my visions, my dreams, and all of that. That's your personal focus. It has to do with you. Now, there's platform focus. So, what am I sent to do, and where am I sent to do it? If I'm sent to social media space, that's my platform. And so I must be focused on my platform to consistently deliver content that will make you to be drawn to my platform, be drawn to the value that I produce or the value that I give. And so that's the platform focus. There's also the people focus, the people that I'm sent to. Jesus knew the thoughts of men. He knew the people that he was sent to. He realized that he was not sent to everybody. His message would not affect everybody. And so there was a blind man at the beautiful gate, the same beautiful gate that Jesus passed to heal, the same beautiful gate that Jesus passed to heal somebody that was sitting at the well of Bethesda, that he passed that road. Yet he didn't talk to that blind man. He didn't heal the blind man because he was not sent to the blind man, or not the blind man, sorry, the crippled man at the beautiful gate. But then he went to the what's it called? The river, and he went to heal this man at the river. And the man came to the same church and passed through the beautiful gate to give his testimony. So all this while, people dropped arms for him at that gate called Beautiful. They dropped arms for him. People pitied him and all of that. And so I'm sure the guy had already thought, nobody is sent to me. If Jesus of Nazareth himself cannot heal me, then it means that my problem is so bad. There's no solution to it. But then a day came, Peter and James, right? Or John, sorry, were going up into the temple to worship, and then they saw him, and he has probably given them money. They've probably given him severally, and then he felt, oh, this is another day for me to receive arms. And maybe let's say that they didn't have their wallet and they remembered we have healing. So in that moment, a witness was born to them that, okay, we're sent to this person, we're sent to heal this person. And so you must know the people that you're sent to and focus on them. Don't try to gather everybody. Not everybody will understand your message. Not everybody will understand what you're trying to say. So you must be clear about the people that you're sent to. Number four, you must have a program focus. And for me, for example, um, this is like a plan of growth, a development plan, right? Um, I'm going to have my PhD at 35. I'm going to I'm going to ensure that I've documented all that I need to ensure that KMGA is an institution before I'm 40, a global institution before I'm 40, not just a coaching company, but now an institution. Now, this is a program focus. I'm on with the program. I'm on with my expectation of what I'm doing, of what I'm working towards. I'm clear about it. I'm not here and there. I'm specific. And so when offers come that are not in line with my program, it's easy to say no, because I don't want to be distracted by your good offers. I don't want to be distracted by what you think is right for me. I don't want to be distracted by your expectations for me, especially if it is myopic based on your selfish interests. And so, if I am going to be focused, I must learn to say no. If I'm going to say no, I must learn what I need to say no to. It's just like, for example, if you call me and say, Rejoice, come, let's go and drink and smoke weed. I don't need to think about it. I'm going to say no. Like, it's not a prayer point. I don't need to come and start praying and asking God for the will of God concerning going drinking and smoking with you. It's a straight up no for me. So if we are that focused and that clear about our parts and our programs, it's easy to say no. Like when people come to sell things to you, it even makes you just know this is not for me. This has nothing to do with my values. This has nothing to do with where I'm going to. So it's not for me. So for example, I see this argument every year whenever BB Nigeria is about to start. You begin to hear conversations of, should a Christian watch BB Nigeria? Why should a Christian watch BB Nigeria? Why should a Christian? You now see arguments for, arguments against, and these are people sincere who are sincerely wasting their time because they don't know the program. If I know the program, like BB Nigeria is just not for me. So you can't even make me sit with BB Niger in the first place because I know that it's not part of my program plan, it's not part of my growth plan, it's not part of my journey plan. And so I'm clear about my program focus. The next thing is your procedural focus. You need to have like a plan of journeying, a plan of how to get to where you're going, a plan of how you are going to achieve the things that you desire to achieve. You must be clear. You must be clear. You must be clear. You must be very, 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 very clear. You cannot, you cannot, and I repeat it again, you cannot actually not have a growth plan or have a journey plan or a procedure plan of how you want to achieve what you want to achieve. We're not in assumptions, we're clear. And finally, a problem focus. What are the problems that you're sent to solve? What are the problems that you're sent to solve? I mean, you're not sent to solve every problem in the world. If you were, world hunger would be your problem, world peace will be your problem, world that will be your problem. But you realize that me, I'm not sent to solve every problem. I'm not sent to answer everybody's question. I'm not sent to I'm not sent to be everything to everybody. Do you understand? I'm not sent. I'm not sent. I'm not sent. I'm not sent to be everywhere. I'm not sent to be everything to everyone. So you must be clear on what you're sent to do and who you're sent to be actually. You must be very, very, very clear about it. So you can begin to type in your questions because I believe that we're almost wrapping up for today. We're back again tomorrow, but you can begin to type in your questions if you have any. So, um, here are some questions that will help you focus on your focus. Here are some questions that will help you focus on your focus. Number one is why. So sorry about that. Um, the first thing is why. This question is one of the most, I don't know, belittled question that there is. Why? Why should I do this? Why should I be here? Why should I listen to this conversation? Why should I invest in this? Why? You must learn. You must learn to know your why, understand your why. You must learn your why is very, very important. Your why is very, 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 very important. It's very important that you understand your why. It's very, very important that you see your why and see it clearly. Number two is why not? If you know your why, begin to think of why not to, right? It's it's to think of why not, why not me, why not now, why not me, why not now, why not? Because especially when you begin to self doubt, or when you begin to self negate, or self, I don't know, all this nonsense humility that we carry, um when you begin to get there, when you begin to get there, you begin to understand, okay, why not me? Why not now? Why not here? Why not? So you must learn why not, all right? And then the third is why not you? Like this one, I was clear about it. Like, why not you? Because sometimes some of us get opportunities and we're quick to discount ourselves. Oh, um, let's say something like Gloria is better
Power
suited
off.
for this opportunity, not me. And most times, could it be true? Yes. Is it always true? No. And why is it not always true? Because sometimes in our bid to self-doubt, we push ourselves away from opportunities that has the possibilities to change our lives. So because I don't believe enough in myself, I push away the opportunity to somebody that I feel that can be better or that can do better. And so that's a very dangerous place to be in. So always think of it or live with this mindset, especially if you want to be focused. I'm the best person for the job. I just need to know if it is the right job for me. I am the best person for the job, but is it the right job for me? Is it the right opportunity for me? Is it the right place for me to be right now? Right? That's just what you need to know. Never let it never be an option of I'm not the good person for the job, I'm not the best person for the job. No, have live with this consciousness of I'm the best person for the job. However, is this the best opportunity for me at the moment? If it's not, move on. If it is, push for it. Number four, why not now? Why not now? You must begin to understand timing. Timing is so important. Timing is important. It's not just about when to say yes. It's not just about saying yes, but is it the right time to say yes? It's just like a 6 year old coming to say that she's going into a relationship. I like a man and I'm getting married. If you have a 6 year old cousin and she comes and meets you and says that she's getting married, you would say, you would first look at her and see if she's joking. And then if you see an atom of seriousness in what she's saying, you will now begin to be concerned, because you realize that you're not at a marriageable age. Nothing about you screams permission to be married, permission to be in a relationship, right? And so you can now begin to know, okay, not now. Or if your 16-year-old brother comes and asks you to buy him a private jet, you obviously know that he's about to fly himself to his death, and you won't give it to him. So you must now begin to know things that are time specific, time bound. There are certain opportunities that would come your way that, yes, you're the best person for them, but is it the right time for you to enjoy those opportunities and walk in those opportunities? You must sincerely understand that. You must sincerely get that. You must sincerely understand that. Okay, somebody asked a question, so I'm going to go back. Person asked about the procedural focus. So, what is the procedure of doing things? What is the procedure of achieving things? What's the path that you're going to take to achieve what you're trying to achieve? Do you understand? It's not just about um, choosing to get to a place, but it's about understanding the pathway to get there. For example, I'll use medical school for example. In Nigeria, medical school is direct entry. Medical school is direct entry, right? So that means that if I want to be a medical doctor, it's a direct entry into it. Direct entry into medical school. So, but if I go to Canada, right? If I go to Canada, I would have to take a degree first before I go into medicine. Why? Because if I want to be able to impact my world, I must realize that there's a procedure that it takes for me to get there. I don't just walk in there casually. In Nigeria, direct entry. In Canada, a degree first before you get into the place, right? You have to have a degree, and then you have to take your MCAT. After your MCAT, you now do this thing. If it's in the UK, you need your O levels, then you take your BCAT, and then you get your. So you need to know the procedure it takes for you to get to the place you want to get to. Like, you need to know your step to step process. If God is sending you to be a prophet to the nations, you must understand what global question am I going to answer, and what global certification will bring me the attention of kings. I hope that gives you an answer, Mercy. So, lack of focus is very costly. Lack of focus is extremely costly. And men, people don't understand this, but lack of focus is so costly. So, number one, these are some questions that I thought to ask you, to ask yourself, and to know how you can readjust. The first is, in what areas of my life do I not consistently keep agreement? What areas of my life am I consistently not meeting up with? Um, Many times we say, oh, deadlines are not for me. I don't like to work under pressure. There's a time for that, but there are times when, okay, for example, I went through a mentorship program, and in the mentorship program, for every time you don't do the assignment, you have to pay $100. And then for every time that you come to class 10 minutes late, you also have to pay $100. So consciously, even in my dream, like, I would literally see myself think about the fact that I need to Ah, wow, I need to really, really have everything I need in place before I go out to launch this thing. I can't just go out. Like, I needed to, as soon as class was over, I would begin to do my assignments because I don't have $100 to give, and the program was worth it enough for me to invest my time. So, but then I began to realize that in doing that, that it was good behavior that I was lacking before in my life, but because there was consequences attached to it, I was able to sit up. But what about areas of my life where there were no consequences attached? How was I now able to consistently keep agreements? A lot of us leave things to last minute. You're supposed to do this thing. You wait till 2 hours before it's due to do it. Oh, I'll do it later. I have time. I'll do it later. I have time. Later is never. Every time you say later, is almost like you're saying never. Like, I'll never do this thing. Just leave it alone. It's never going to happen. Okay. So number two is, what will this cost me if I don't change? And then include long-term consequences. There are people that have lost jobs because of procrastination. There are people that have lost opportunities because of procrastination. There are certain people that I know of a person who kept procrastinating getting his passport. In the day that came where he needed his passport for a job, Nigeria happened to him. He was thinking that he could just walk into the place and drop money and they would give him passport. Unfortunately for him, it did not happen that way. And despite dropping money, they still did not give him. So he lost an opportunity. He lost his money because he kept procrastinating later. Why do later what you can do now? Stop thinking later, think now. And then, what specifically do I need to change to enjoy the best of life? You need to, like I said earlier in the anatomy of focus, be self aware. Know what you need to work on, know what you need to change, know what you need to upgrade or update, know what you need to be better at, know what is not right, and then you can also help yourself by creating a reward or consequence system. So, for example, what specific rewards or benefits will I receive by making adjustments? What rewards am I getting? What benefits am I getting by making these adjustments? So, how am I helping my life by making all these adjustments? That's one question that needs to be asked frequently and not occasionally. So, um, this is one thing that I really have to talk about is the heart distractors. Um, Working on this slide, I realized that many times our lack of focus stems from our heart, not just things around us. Our heart distractors are our primary source of lack of focus, not necessarily our environmental distractors. So, your environmental distractors can be managed, but if your heart distractors are not managed, then you will not be able to go very far in life. If your heart distractors are not managed, you will not be able to go very far. So, the first one is guilt. Guilt is I owe you. When I feel like I owe you, I'm consistently in that space where all my decisions are consumed by thoughts of paying you back, paying of being on an even slate with you. Now, when you apologize to people for hurting them or for doing what you're not meant to do, don't allow people to guilt trip you, right? If you want to, let's say, make it up to them for not being able to do what you were supposed to do, one of the ways that you can do it is you say, oh, okay, what can I do to make this better that is in my power to do? You must always put that phrase in your power to do. Never give people a blank check, because it is in the nature of people to demand more than you have to offer. It is in the nature of people to demand more than you have to offer. So you must kill that I owe you syndrome. I owe you. We must have an even slate. We must we must we must even it out, we must balance it out and all that. That I owe you syndrome has to go, right? And then number two is that anger, you owe me. When you're angry with people, many times part of anger is entitlement mentality, where you begin to feel entitled to people's time, people's attention, people's you know, when you begin to feel entitled. So you are not entitled to people's time. You're not entitled to people's attention. You're not entitled. We have to kill this entitlement mentality. You owe me. I did this for you, and therefore you owe me. I protected you. I did that. I do that. I did that. I did that. You owe me. I don't owe you anything. Nobody owes you anything. So you must kill this you owe me mindset. Nobody owes you. All right. The third is greed. The third is greed, where you begin to know that I owe me. I owe me. What do I mean by that? You must learn how to deal with what you owe yourself. So, and what do I mean by that? When you're not satisfied with what you have, when you're not satisfied with where you are, when you're not satisfied with what God is doing in you, when you lack satisfaction, you want to begin to press until you owe. To you feel like you owe yourself. Oh, I owe myself to be wealthy. I owe myself to be this. I know myself to be that. I owe myself to be this. I owe myself. I owe myself. Okay, great, no problem. You owe yourself, but make sure that your heart is in the right place, and you're not just coming to owe yourself because of possibilities that you're comfortable with, right? So I owe myself. When we become greedy, it's very dangerous. Our greed has the ability to destroy us, so that we're not taking actions based on what is needed rightly, but we're now taking attention from what really matters to what we want, when we want, how we want, and we're not allowing God to work the process in us, the process of change, the process of transformation. We're not allowing God to work in us. And then the fourth one is jealousy. For example, I see Gloria's hair and I want it on my head, and I'm saying, God owes me to give me long hair. God owes me to give me a certain type of breast, a certain type of hair color, a certain type of nose. Have you ever met people and were like, if my hair was like this, I would look better. If my this, and that's the mindset of God owes me. And but we can't go around living our lives with God owes me, because we will realize that even beyond external distractors. Okay, for example, if my phone is a distraction, I can turn off my phone. But if my greed is a distraction, I can't turn off my heart. I can turn off my phone for distracting me, but I can't turn off my heart for distracting me. So I must be consistently checking my heart to ensure that, okay, my heart's disposition is right, my heart's disposition is what should be, my heart disposition my heart disposition is where it should be per time. So I'm consistently like thinking the right thoughts, so that, because okay, the Bible said something, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Now, God is love, and if you want to create anything that is transgenerational, you must create it from the place of love, because it will stand the test of time. Whatever you build from the place of love will definitely outlive you and will outlast you, right? And so, when I am building, and I am building from the place of love, I'm building not carelessly, but with an intentionality and understanding that, okay, what I'm building, I'm not just building for what it can bring to my account, I'm bringing building for impact. So I'm not consistently comparing myself to, say, glorious growth or glorious progress. So when Gloria progresses, it's easier for me to cheer her on, because I don't see her as a competition. But if I use, say, my physical stature and say I'm bigger than Gloria, so my vision must be bigger than Gloria's, and the way I talk must be bigger than Gloria's, then I will never achieve anything, because all I'm doing now is competing with Gloria, who is probably just trying to follow God with her heart pure unto God. And so, in that moment, I'm living in greed and jealousy. My heart is distracted. So everything that I'm doing is motivated towards spiting another person. You don't make progress that way, towards trying to spite another person, towards trying to fight an unknown competition. You don't grow that way. So it's very, very important that we don't just do monthly heart checks, but every day that you wake up, like David, you can say to God, you know what, search my heart. Search my heart, make sure that my heart is right. That I'm not in competition with anybody, that I'm not trying to outdo anybody, that what I'm doing is genuinely what you sent me to do, not what I feel I should be doing. What I'm doing, let it genuinely be what you will have me do, not what I feel I would do that would bring me the attention that I need in the now. So it's very important that in the journey of focus, we pay attention to these four heart distractors, because as long as they are in place, you will never be able to build anything worth the time and impact in people's life. You wouldn't. You actually would never be able to achieve that. So get rid of guilt, get rid of anger, because one of the things, okay, let's do it this way. Guilt would always birth condemnation. Anger would always birth strife. Greed will always birth competition, and jealousy would always bring about self-destruction. So you must get rid of these things, because their consequences, if we're looking at the big picture, is far greater than the feeling in the moment. So you must strive to ensure that you are in the right frame of heart to be well builders, especially if you're going to build appropriately what God is calling you to build. All right, so these are heart distractors. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about certain strategies to maintain focus, and we're going to look at certain focus hacks. I came up with about 7 different focus formulas to really help you focus. And I want it to be that as you go through it, you're able to know what you need to know to begin to build your focus. So, tomorrow, we're going to kick off from strategies to maintain focus. Very sorry to start late today. It will not happen tomorrow. We'll be starting at 5, and the links will be sent to you ahead of time. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I hope that this will help you maintain focus to build for the remaining 5 months of this year, 4 5 months of the year, so that you do not lose sight on who you're meant to be. All right. All right, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll talk with you later. Bye for now.